Hi, I'm Rev Myron. I'm a minister through Pathways of Light, and I've been a Course in Miracles student for over 40 years. This year, I've been going through the text, reading it again, paragraph or two at a time, asking Jesus for clarity, and then writing from that clarity. But today, I want to share something a little different. It's a little more lighthearted. I wrote an article, and it's called "On a Mission for God." So let me just share that with you. One time I was talking to Jesus, as I do throughout the day. I said that sometimes things seem to happen in such a random way. It looks like there's no rhyme or reason for the occurrences. And when I said that, I felt a surge of fear at the thought. It seems terrifying to believe that everything is meaningless, that there's no purpose to anything. Then I was given an idea that grew into the following story. It is, like most things we know about reality, a metaphor, but it's a helpful metaphor, in my opinion. So here it is, on a mission for God. I was explaining to someone that it's safe to look with the Holy Spirit at our thoughts. This is a necessary step in forgiveness, and forgiveness is what we came to do. I assured her that, of course, we're not guilty for our thoughts. They serve a purpose. These untrue thoughts are the reason we're here. You see, we're on a mission for God. And here's how it happened. With the, it was, sorry, lost my place there for a moment. It was my turn to take a stab at viewing the illusion. The goal, of course, was to watch it with the intention of correcting the perceptions that are keeping the illusion in place. Toward that goal, my first meeting was with the planner. She and I discussed the possible ideas I would be willing to forgive. Of course, to forgive them, I would have to first experience them, see the effects of believing them, and then decide if I was ready to let them go. She discussed several ideas that needed attention and asked me if any of them seemed like something I could handle. In my excitement and certainty of purpose, I wanted to do them all. But she kindly reminded me that being in the world, I would forget my good intentions as I became acclimated to my experience. It's not easy to remain so optimistic under those conditions, so she suggested a more reasonable approach. I just knew that I could do what I planned because I sincerely wanted this clarity and freedom from us, for all of us. How hard could it be to make the choice for God? It is insane not to do so. So she sent me to the memory machine to review parts of the story I had participated in some time ago. After we returned to this happier place, our memory of our sojourn into hell, the world, fades as we review it. After a little while of letting my memory of some of my escapades return, I had a more realistic idea of what was possible versus my overly optimistic plans. I returned to the planner, ready to get down to work. Reviewing the possibilities with her, I chose victimhood and relationships as the overall intentions. I wanted to purify my perceptions until they were nearly true. At the last minute, I couldn't help myself. I chose to add the eradication of the belief in guilt. The planner just looked at me with sympathy and suggested this was a lot, but I stubbornly insisted that it was doable. And maybe if I succeeded, my ultimate personal goal would be met, and I would awaken to a place beside my brother Jesus to help others do the same. So the next step was the architect. Now I knew what I wanted to achieve in this lifetime, in the illusion, and I was ready for the setup. An appropriate script had to be chosen for me, one that could contain all the situations that would give me the forgiveness opportunities I needed to complete my mission. It was all very complex, each of my scenarios needing to blend with the stories of thousands of others over a lifetime. I'm glad I have this help. Once we discussed what I needed to accomplish and the script was chosen, it was a sobering moment. This would not be all fun and games because I wouldn't remember choosing it. I wouldn't even remember why I was there. So the next step is really important. This is where I joined with my helpers and my guides. They reassured me that I was not going to be doing this alone. Brother Jesus was going to be with me every step of the way, manifesting as a Holy Spirit in my mind. I would receive guidance, but it would be up to me to listen. It was also up to me to accept the guidance. And this was the best advice I received. I would have the power of decision. It would be enough. All along the way, choices would arise and the path would adjust to accommodate my choice. We looked at some of the examples together, so they were sure I understood. For instance, my brother would suggest I buy a computer when it goes on sale. It would be new to me, having never even used one, and it was my choice to buy it or ignore it. Buying it would put me on track to my next step, but not to worry. My inner guide would be there to help me make decisions, and all decisions would take me somewhere, and wherever that was, there would be lessons to learn. They reminded me of the classes I attended here that prepared us for this. In those classes, my mind stored the truths that would help me remember. People would say, "Who are you?" I would probably tell them my name and where I live, maybe talk about my role as a parent or what I did for a living. But behind all that would be a niggling thought that there was more, a stirring of the truth, forgotten, but still there. Who am I? The truth would be in my mind, waiting for me to discover it. I would find many hints placed throughout my story, breadcrumbs, so to speak, that would help me find my way to the next high step. Of course, I could ignore them, but if I noticed and just followed my intuition, life would flow more easily. They mentioned that the day would come when I would be introduced to A Course in Miracles. But before that, I would notice one of those breadcrumbs that would help me recognize the importance of the Course when I found it, or at least feel an affinity for it, even if I didn't know why. There were many other things to do, such as deciding who I would share this adventure with. But finally, it was time for me to receive my packet and be on my way. What was in my packet, you're wondering? This is where, among other things, I received my new identity. I would have a physical body, a personality, a family, a name, all manner of identifiers that would be useful to me in the world. None of them were real, of course, but I needed them to play the game. And at last, I was at the entry point. With one last cheer from my helpers and friends, and one last admonishment to remember as best as I can that I'm on a mission for God. I will do my best to complete that mission under the most constraining of circumstances. I will do my best. And suddenly, I connected with my mom and will be born soon enough, or at least that is what it feels like. It was also the moment the great amnesia would set in. I know it would happen, but it was just so hard to believe that I would forget every true thing. But it's necessary so that I can fully embrace my role and play it to the fullest. And now, 74 years later, I'm beginning to remember what I decided to forget. I'm nearing the end of my adventure, but there's still time, I think. to complete my mission for God. How about you? Have you had some inklings as to what your mission is? I'd be interested to know about that. Thank you so much for joining me in this reading. I hope that you found it helpful and maybe a little amusing. If so, then please like it. And if you haven't yet, please subscribe. And I'll be back tomorrow with another reading.